Hey everybody, the Black Temple Time Walking is upon us. Here is your flash guide to get through it as easily as possible based on our PTR testing. For High Wall on Agentis, tanks pull him into the center of the room to create more room. DPS is spread in a semicircle around Agentis so you can clearly see who gets speared. Once somebody next to you gets speared, right-click that person to free them from the spear. Now, the item on the PTR did go into your bag, so make sure you know where it's going. It might be an extra action button now. When the Agentis puts his bubble up, that's when you break the spear. Healers prepare for big burst damage when that bubble breaks. It's going to do about 50% of your raid's HP, and then heal them back up. Other than that, simple fight. Supremus! Tanks, you must stand on top of each other at all times, and healers, you need to keep the tanks at IHP because he will attack somebody next to the tank who has the highest amount of health. So melee DPS can die if you don't keep those tanks topped. Raids stay relatively spread so you can avoid all the crap on the floor, volcanoes and what have you. When he goes into his fixate phase, you want to kite Supremus to the far left of the room, and then the next person to the far right, so Supremus is just walking in the middle while everyone DPSs him down. Shade of Akama. You have to be very careful to clear out the room before speaking to Akama so it doesn't activate him, okay? Tanks, you want to have one tank team along with a couple or 3 DPS and a healer on each side of the room. The doorways on the side of the room, you're going to get different ads spawning there. The remainder of your DPSs need to be up top where the channelers are. The aim of this phase, in the first phase of Akama, is to kill these channelers as fast as humanly possible while the teams on the side take care of it. This will call the Shade of Akama to actually travel back towards the empowered Akama, and then you DPS him down for phase 2, which is a very simple process. Just control the ads. For Terran Gorefiend, one tank fight. Tank Gorefiend where he's standing, and raid leaders place a marker near the doorway. This is where people are going to be going when they get the Shadow of Death debuff. Now, Shadow of Death lasts 1 minute. So you have plenty of time to reach your marker. When it's about to expire, move to the marker, you'll become a ghost, and the ghost job is just to kill the skeletons before they reach Terran. You'll be glad to know that in the Time Walking version, the skeletons die extremely fast. You have a Frost Nova ability and an Ice Lance ability. A pro tip is that when you killed your skeletons, go and help out, DPS down on the boss, and then wait for the next person to have Shadow of Death, and that way you can have 2 ghosts temporarily killing the skeletons and making life much easier. Gurtog Blood Boil is one of the more difficult ones. For Gurtog, you're going to want 2 tanks, splitting the debuffs that he puts on the acid burns, and you're going to want 2 groups of ranged DPS, preferably 5 people in each, who are going to be rotating backwards and forwards behind the boss. The Blood Boil effect hits the people who are stood furthest away from the boss. You don't want to get more than 3 stacks. If you do get more than 3 stacks, then simply move closer to the boss and somebody else will be hit by it. In an ideal world, have one group who takes 3 stacks, they move forward, and then the second group moves backwards, so they all get it and makes life much easier for the healers. During his second phase, someone will be fixated. They will become absolutely huge. That person needs to move to the tank's position so that the Blood Boil is facing away from the raid. That person can be bopped, spam healed, whatever. They will be tanking the boss for the period of their debuff. Very simple, just try not to breathe on the raid. Reliquary of Souls, again, is one of the more difficult ones even in the Time Walking. You're going to have to go through the 3 phases properly. In phase 1, nobody can be healed, so everybody has the DPS, including the healers. You have to tank the boss by standing directly under the boss. So somebody will tank it for a while, they will get low health, then somebody else moves into the center of the boss, they will start tanking it. You have to watch out for the Essence's Seethe, his Enrage ability. Very, very important. Tanks should be taking this ability. This is when the boss does extreme damage. You can also have things like rogues take it and evasion it and do all those things to minimize the damage and not lose people. In phase 2, the damage you do to the essence is going to be reflected back onto you. So healers, you need to be very ready for spike damage for people who accidentally crit too much or don't control their DPS, right? Melee DPS and tanks should be interrupting as much as possible. The Spirit Shock will disorientate the tanks. You don't want that to happen. But this phase is about making sure that you don't over-nuke the boss and kill yourself. Phase 3 in the new Time Walking version is actually extremely easy. Simply burn the boss down as fast as possible. There's a stacking damage debuff on the raid, but you should be able to kill it well before that. Mother Sharaz, I recommend you tank it in an open space and gather all the ranged and healers into one position. Now, healers, you're going to have to be very, very ready for the 3 people who get teleported, usually 1 healer, 1 ranged DPS, and 1 melee DPS. They will be teleported to a random area of the room and begin AoEing each other. If you have been teleported, please just spread as fast as possible, run in opposite directions, and healers, be ready for spike damage on those guys. It is lethal if they take more than a few ticks. Just spread out from it as fast as possible, then get back into the clump, either the melee camp or the ranged and healer camp, and then just burn him down. The Illidari Council was bugged on the PTR, however you are going to be mainly nuking down Gathios the Shatterer. The tank should pull that down. Have another tank ready for the Rogue, the Varus Dark Shadow. The Rogue boss will disappear and reappear, trying to ambush random members of the raid. That tank should be looking to pick him up. And have Interrupters ready for Lady Meland. She'll be susceptible to either magic or melee and will shift between the two. All you need to do there is simply interrupt her, relevant to what she can do. So if she's immune to melee damage, then the ranged guy interrupts her. If she is immune to magic damage, then you can use the melee to interrupt her. The caster mob can be tanked by either a mage or a warlock. It's very, very simple to do that. Illidan Stormrage obviously is the more difficult fight of all of the things in the Black Temple Timewalking. This is the one that has several phases. In phase 1, tanks should be facing Illidan away from the raid. This is because of the draw soul ability. If it hits other members of the raid, they heal Illidan for every person they hit. You want that to hit the tank only. Illidan will be dropping flame patches on the floor. Simply move Illidan left or right, whichever you prefer, so the melee have plenty of room to deal with the fire. Somebody will be infected with Parasitic Shadow Fiend. That means that a parasite is going to pop in a few seconds, and then they need to be killed. So that person should move out of the raid so that the parasites pop away from everyone else, and that gives people time to kill them. In phase 2, when Illidan takes to the sky, you should be dividing the raid ideally into 4. 1 melee group and then 3 ranged groups with healers combined. 2 tanks, 1 going to each of the Flames of Azeroth. You'll be nuking one of them down, whichever one is in the melee camp, and then when that one dies, simply swap over and do the other one simply as that. In phase 3, you have a couple of extra things going on. He's still doing Shear, which is a big tank ability which needs to be blocked. He's still doing Draw Soul, so you still need to face him away, but he's also going to have the Demon phase mixed into this as well. So when he becomes the Demon, you need to, 1, move away from the boss. This includes melee. Okay, this is going to summon shadow demons, and they will slowly travel to whoever they select, and they can select melee, and if they reach them, that person will die. So they need to die immediately. Not only that, but Illidan is going to start bombarding the raid with shadow damage, and if you're stood next to other people, 2 of these together can kill you. It's a very quick way to die. So it'll go like this. It will do the shadow damage first, so you should be spread out for that. Then he will summon the shadow demons, you will kill those, and then after that he will do the shadow damage again, which means you need to be spread, and then you can go in and get the kill. Very, very simple. Enjoy your Warglaive achievements and any free loots you get. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Bye-bye.